by the post-lunch session. So, yesterday is equal to tomorrow. That's our topic for today. Yesterday is equal to tomorrow. Okay, keep guessing what we are going to speak. Before I go on any further, let's define what yesterday is. So what is the date today? Date. What is the date today? The full date with the year, please. 2015. Okay. So if this year is 2015, my question is, before 2015 years, did the world exist? Yes? Okay. Did human beings exist? Animals, plants, everything else? Okay. So if everything existed 2015 years back, why are we calling this year as 2015? How many years old are we in reality, we as in Earth? How many years old are we? Isn't that something to think about? So, yesterday is equal to tomorrow. We are now in 2015. This year, in reality, is a part of Kali Yuga. All of you have heard of Kali Yuga? Yes? Lord Krishna lived prior to this. Which Yuga was that? Dwapara Yuga. It was Dwapara Yuga. Krishna lived in Dwapara Yuga. How many years is Dwapara Yuga? How many years on the whole is Dwapara Yuga? Kali Yuga is said to be 4,32,000 years. So Dwapara Yuga is Kali Yuga into 2 number of years. What about Treta Yuga? Kali Yuga into 3. That many years is Treta Yuga. Anybody good in maths here? All are marine engineering students. So 4,32,000 into 3 is the number of years in our Treta Yuga. Yeah, 12,96,000. And there was one more Yuga prior to that. Guess what it is? Krita Yuga or Satya Yuga, which is Kali Yuga into 4. That many years. So let's have a look at this. So 4,32,000 years, my pointer is there. That is Kali Yuga. Into 2, 8,64,000 is Dwapara Yuga. Kali Yuga into 3, 12,96,000 is Treta Yuga. Kali Yuga into 4 is Satya Yuga. All these added together is called as Chatur Yuga. Okay, 4 yugas together. Chatur is 4. Chatur Yuga is the addition of all this. And you know what? We all study that light years is different from human years. Is that right? Similarly, the age of Brahma is very different from our age. So thousands of Chatur Yugas make daytime of Brahma, 1 daytime of Brahma. 1,000 Chatur Yugas is equal to 1 daytime of Brahma. So what about his night time? Again, 1,000 Chatur Yugas make up his night time. So think about this. Today, Brahma has completed 50 years. So that is the history we have to know. So much of evolution has happened over a period of time. A lot of things have been polished. It's there today after, undergoing a lot of transformation. So what we have today, we don't have to recreate. So you know my title now. Yesterday is equal to tomorrow, right? So today, the date which we are calling as 2015, in reality is actually 195588511 year. That is our today's year. So in 2015, okay, the current year, imagine just minus 15 years in the year 2000. Do you all remember how our televisions were? Black and white TV? Solidaire, Dianora, Onida, Neighbors and the Owner's Pride. Okay? Do you all remember the landline telephones we all used to use? If we take the phone, that will automatically start making a lot of noise. We don't even have to dial any number. We used to have STDs for all trunk bookings. Wait for somebody to call us back. In 15 years, can you see the amount of transformation that's happened? All of us have mobile phones. Every house has multiple phone facilities. We don't have to go wait in somebody's house to make phone calls. All these developments, technological improvements in the last 15 years. And what are we speaking about? Lakhs and lakhs of years where so much of development has happened. We are just wiping it out by changing the date, calling today's date as 2015. Think about how much of information we lose. We watch a movie for 3 hours and start feeling have we wasted 3 hours of time. How many hours, how many years, how many thousands of years get wiped out just by the date? Even if we take Kali Yuga alone, 5117th year of Kali Yuga is where we are. Just 50%, 2015 is the date that we see here, right? So with this thought, people ask me, all this is fine. Where do you get this information? We don't have to search far. Just go to your puja room. We have the Panchang. All this information are there, right? Now, okay, everything is scientific. How can you prove it's all scientific? All those ancestors have written are there. Is there any science in it? Or are these just superstitions? Albert Einstein, we call him the best scientist so far. His brain is preserved in the museum. For what? Because he used maximum percentage of his brain. E is equal to mc square. Scientific investigations. And you know what Albert Einstein says? He says the main source of his inspiration and guidance for scientific investigations came not from any other source but from Gita and Sanskrit literature. So that's what Albert Einstein says his main source of inspiration is Bhagavad Gita and our language, which is Sanskrit. Not only Albert Einstein, Max Muller, he came to our country to find out what mistakes are there in our scriptures. That was the purpose of his visit. And once he started studying, his mind started getting refined over and over and over again. End of it, he said that Sanskrit is the greatest language in the world. Not only that, Swami Vivekananda's statement is there, where Swami says, the end of his life, he and his wife led their life as if, Vashishta and Dampati led their lives. So much of refinement happened in his mind that he started, living a life of sainthood. Now we usually use the word Arundhati Vashishta. What is the significance of Arundhati Vashishta? You've heard of Sapta Rishis? Sapta Rishis, are the 7 stars that we can see from here in the northern hemisphere. So entire lineage, our lineage is from the Sapta Rishis. Each one of us here, our ancestors are the Sapta Rishis. So one such star which we can see from here is named as Arundhati Vashishta. It's not named as Vashishta, we call it as Arundhati Vashishta. Now Swami Vivekananda says, Max Muller and his wife led their life as Arundhati Vashishta. So how did they lead their life? That is an important question, right? It's very, very interesting to note that we saw from here. We did not call it as one star, we called it as twin stars Arundhati Vashishta. From the very name we can infer that. Now what they found out after analyzing it with all the telescopes is that this is not a single star but a twin star, which is in the northern hemisphere. And what they say is, usually, if the sun is there, the earth revolves around the sun. The moon revolves around it, things like that. But these two stars, they do not revolve around one thing, they revolve around each other. They are twin stars. Without the gravity of one star, the other star cannot even exist. Imagine it. So without one, the other cannot survive. So in our marriages, they say we should start living like Arundhati and Vasishtha, where we complement each other's life. In our scriptures, it is never said that man is equal to the lady. No. Wife and husband are equal. No. We call it as Saha Dharmacharini, which means we complement each other's life. Just imagine we have a structure like this, which is curved in the middle. Another structure is also curved in the middle. Both these are equal. Join them together, empty space will increase. Right? If it complements, wherever there is a gap, this fills in. So we start living together. So it's called as Saha Dharmachari. Okay? So here if you notice, in our childhood we used to play this game, right? Holding our hands together, revolving around. That is the way these two stars actually coexist. Center point of this being the four Purusharthas of the life. The purpose of life are four things. Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha. These four are the central things around which our entire life has to resolve. So that's the way Arundhati and Nakshatra actually led their life. Arundhati and Vasishtha, the twin stars. Now my question to you all is, today if we look at the sky, we are not able to say that they are twin stars. How did our ancestors know that? Today with telescopes we prove it, which means, did our ancestors have these kind of telescopes? Or were their eyes so sharp, so powerful? Either way, why are our eyes not as powerful? Where are those equipments gone today? Subject to research by all our youngsters. Right? Okay. Next, let's go on. Will Durant, a historian who studies all languages, ends up saying that Sanskrit is the mother of all, not Indian languages, European languages. Swami Vivekananda says, the very sound of the language gives a prestige and a power to our entire race. Now just think about it. We study what is available in this 2015 years. We think we've gained enough knowledge. The fact of the matter is, what we've left out, the chunk is too big. How many years is it? 195, 58, 85, 117 years are there for us to learn. So knowing that, knowing our ancestors or Saptarishi, having the DNA in us, the blood in us, gives such a pride and the prestige to our entire race. None other than Swami Vivekananda's words. Mahatma Gandhi says, without knowing the language, we can't be learned people, we can't even be true Indians, because we don't know our true history. Our true history is there from time immemorial. With just the knowledge of these 2000 years, we cannot become true Indians, right? So now, we have to know certain important things, and that's why I'm here. There are 5 stages which we are currently undergoing in our country. The first stage is everybody admires us, they want to learn from us, they become our disciples. We are very, very happy to share our knowledge with them. And that's the concept of they being our disciples. Okay? We go on to different stages till the end of the stage, which I'll explain as we go through the slides, where it gets into the dangerous zone. Right? So let's first go through the first stage, where people come to our country as disciples. We used to have the world's oldest universities. Do you know which I'm talking about? Nalanda and Takshashila. Nalanda University at one time could host 10,000 residential students. 10,000 people across the world used to come here just to study. We were very happy to share our knowledge with them. During Mughal invasion, people were destroying everything, everywhere. They came to Nalanda University and they burnt our Talapatras, the manuscripts, Ole Suvadu in Tamil. All our manuscripts were burnt to ashes. You know what? Suppose we have a 10,000 bala. We light it during Deepavali. How long does it burst? How long can we hear the noise and see it? 5 minutes, 10 minutes max. The number of books they burnt for 6 months continuously. Imagine the size of knowledge that has been lost during that time. And today people come and ask us, where is the proof for all this? We burnt everything here. Everything was reduced to ashes. We did not have pen drives or backup servers to save anything. So much of knowledge is now burnt. And today, there are still some manuals which are available. If you go to the Saraswati Mahal Library, there are manuscripts which are untouched. Nobody even goes near it. Now, it's all subject to getting damaged. 1 lakh such manuscripts are there, which are, dusted and which is breaking, which is now eaten by insects, pesticides. Nobody touches it. The only reason is because it's in our ancient language, Sanskrit. Nobody knows the language. People today learn foreign languages, but our ancient language is just gone. So that's the reason. So many great things are there. I'll tell you what are the greatness of it as we progress. So such books are there, not far away, in our Saraswati Mahal Library in Tanjavur. That used to be the Bhoja Maharaja's personal library, and 1 lakh documents, manuscripts are there even today. We can go have a look at it. Okay. Now, who all come here to learn things? Steve Jobs. He was here. He sported a shikha. He came here to study our Upanishads. And we've seen a lot of things even recently. Albert Einstein says very frankly that he was our disciple. He says we owe a lot to Indians who taught us how to count. Without this, no great scientific discovery could be possible. We have zero, who invented zero? Aryabhatta. Now Aryabhatta says that zero has 2 different ways of looking at it. Very interesting to look at it. When did he invent all these? How did he have that forethought? Now just think about it. Zero, suppose I say a number, 0.12345. Does zero have a value? Yes, no? No. Suppose I say 1,0,0,0,0,0. Does zero have a value? Yeah, between 10,000 and 1 lakh, zero makes a big difference. But whether I say 0.1234 or 0.1234 doesn't really matter. So Aryabhatta in Aryabhattiyam has said zero before a decimal number which does not have a value is called a shunya. Zero which comes after the decimal which can have enormous value is called pujya. So even the word zero, we had 2 different ways of telling it, shunya or pujya, depending on its placement in the decimal number. What a vision they had. Okay, so he says we owe a lot to Indians who taught us how to count. And not only zero, the concept of infinity is from us. The concept of infinity. We say Purnamada Purnamidam Purna. There's a Veda sloka. You know that? Purnamada Purnamidam Purna. Okay? So Purna. If you take something out of Purna, it's still Purna. If you add something to Purna, it's still Purna. The value does not change. The concept of infinity we gave to the world. Today we speak of atoms. Some 100 years back, people said that they got the atoms concept. while explaining the concept of God, we say Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan, who is, smaller than the atom and bigger than the biggest concept. Anoraniyan Mahato Mahiyan. So we knew the concept of atom thousands and thousands and thousands of years back.